Just let me be, I'm a right? What's up, you rapscallions? Mark at Carterbox Academy here. And today, we're talking about something pretty overdue. So, I think since Tallah released their music video for Overconfidence, I think I've probably had 200 to 300 people say like, "Yo, you gotta react to Justin performing in this video in Overconfidence," right? And part of the reason I held it off for so long is because we had our content calendar built out for months, right? Which has got its, positives and its negatives. Another issue is that I had heard the song already many, 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 many times because I like it. Like, spoiler alert, I've heard this song and I think it's dope. However, I haven't seen this one take video of him performing it. I held off because I knew that eventually I was going to have time to do it, and it looks like that time is today. Now, if you're new to the channel, what we do here is we take the reaction format, we break it down, we try to make it a little bit more educational and entertaining, and we focus on things like vocal endurance. We really break it down and we analyze it so that we can learn what we can. Also, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out. It's a lot of fun. And feel free to check out the Patreon if you'd like. We have a Discord, which is really growing. It's active almost all around the clock now, and it's really cool. Really kind of a small group of really cool, rad people. We play board games together. Well, board games over the internet, but it's a really good time. We talk about vocal techniques. It's a rad setup. But let's go ahead. Let's get into it. This is the live version, and I'm excited because this guy's a nut. Like, I mean that in the most loving and respectful way possible. This dude's an absolute nut. I love his vibe, so I'm gonna have fun. And also, I think this face is gonna go in the thumbnail because look at this. I always scrub through and find a good picture, but like, look at this guy. I love it. Let's go. Here we go. Liking that suit, liking those vibes. So since I've heard this song before in the music video form, I kind of know the places where I want to stop. And I really want to talk about a couple of things here. One thing I know is that I would say 90% of people who talk to me about this guy, and it's a lot of people, talk about how they think he's amazing. And I am definitely on that train. I love his voice. I do know that there are a couple people who they say his voice just isn't for them. Even if that's the case, even if you're listening to this, we're a minute in, you're like, I don't know if this guy is for me. I would say there's a lot to learn here. So first thing that I really enjoy is on how that's on that opening scream, he went from this nice sort of pitched tonal sound, dropped it down to an atonal sound, slowly pulling the tone of his voice out of it till he got down to this like, Abe, what are the same? Kind of got down to that place, and he made it look super easy. This guy's been working on his voice forever. He's got videos on the internet from a long time ago. And he has really mastered that level of control in turning on and off both distortion and his true voice at the same time. I always hit this microphone. Tremendous amount of support. I did see a little squeeze on the neck there. That's not always a bad thing, but we do want to keep an eye on it. And we're going to look for it. But again, I love the way that he took his pitch slowly out of that scream down into that like low kind of guttural sound. One advantage he has also, like, so he went into that rapping section, which I love his little gestures and things that he does. But one thing that really works out for this guy, one thing that really works out for him is his natural voice. It's a little bit higher. His speaking voice, if you watch his other voice videos, is a little bit raspy, and he's got a little bit of a nasal quality, right? And so when he's rapping, it kind of sets him up to throw this distortion on. A lot of the grit that he puts in his voice, and we're going to talk about later, exists in a very high sort of nasally colored position, right? So he screams kind of here a lot of the time. So when he's rapping in, oh, he puts the distortion on, pow, you can tell I'm not a rapper, but right? He can lean in and out of it very, very easily because he's existing in that baseline position, right? He's not down super low in his chest, but he's up here. Let's keep going, because he's going to have some really cool pitched, kind of raspy belting coming up here that I want to hear. Let's go back just a little bit so you can kind of hear a little bit of how he uses his nasal frontal placement to let him pop in and out of that distortion really easy.
She requested my submission, and we all know how this one ends. I'm proud to have been given the chance to entertain you. Yes, I'm enslaved to the pain of my confidence. I wasn't it only to help you out. Lying in danger, save my life. Lying vision a world where my choices are mine. Yes, I'm enslaved to the gain and the pain. I control in my confidence.
So cool stuff. So if you want to throw that really forward raspy grit on your scream, there are a couple, or you're singing, like you're belting basically, there are a couple things you really should do first. First is you should get a good grasp on resonance placement, taking your voice and putting it in the front, keeping it in the back, adding different color, right? Giving different basically timbre to your voice. That's going to be incredibly important. It's also going to be incredibly important to learn not only what breath support is on paper, but what it feels like. One thing that's really interesting is when we're supporting these really forward, raspy, gritty, belting voices, is that we're actually kind of bearing down a little bit, right? We feel like, and I am one of many, many, many people to say this because it's fundamental and very important. We need to feel, when we pressurize our abdominal cavity, we need to feel a little bit of downward pressure, right? We need to feel a little bit of that similar feeling to, like, well, taking a number two. Well, I'll just be honest with you. It doesn't feel exactly the same, but we get a little bit of that downward pressure in our lower pelvis. That's really important. And then once you can really hold these notes out, once you've got control, you can summon your inner buzzer. You can hit that buzzer button, right? Now that on its own doesn't sound exactly like you're going to want it to sound, but that nasal, you can hear me being nasal in it. Right? It'll allow you to feel that distortion before you start putting it on everything. So you find that buzzer, right? And start with wherever's comfortable for you. Start with wherever's comfortable. Like, I'm not going as high as he is right now because I'm just probably not going to hit it as well as he does. I'll be honest. So we'll hit it where we're comfortable. Mine, mine. And that'll kind of let us get comfortable with it over time. You could actually hear, I can't remember the lyrics. It's like, let's hear it. But he slowly adds the grit as he ramps up. So sick. Let's hear that again. Yeah.
It don't take much, just a pinch of resistance. I'm open to suggestions on how I should get it done. To overreact, this is how it goes. I'm a break through the only a hope. She doesn't hear a sound. Hold on your hatred while I take me out to define my new existence. And my boy knows the outcome. That little prick likes to bury my thoughts. You know why? 'Cause he's a coward and a hypocrite. I shot 2 bullets in the wall just to stand between the eyes of God, to let him see, let him weep. But the gun struck, he cast aside. And I'm over it, 'cause I've been feeling so confident.
Yeah, so a couple things there that I want to point out. We've kind of talked about how he, how the rasp is being added and everything, but for people who are new to vocals, who are new to gritty singing, if you're watching this and trying to learn from it, you'll probably get a lot of, well, not my video, his video, or my video. Hell, I don't know. If you're watching him do this performance, is what I mean. If you're watching him do his performance and you're using it to teach yourself, you're going to learn a lot of very valuable information. But I don't want you to use that neck push, that pressure, his face turning all red, as a gauge to mean that you're doing it right. Sometimes when we are heavily supporting a certain vocal style, we will have visible muscular engagement, right? It's like people who lift weights competitively. They're in perfect condition, they've got perfect form, but when they lift that weight, you can see them, you can see the effort of the engagement of the muscles. That takes time to distinguish from strain and damage of the muscles, right? So don't be like, oh, it sounded like him and I looked like him, therefore I'm ready to go. Your muscles probably aren't strong enough to maintain your distortion all the way through. So, start with just clean singing. Start with just clean singing. Throw some grit in there every once in a while. Let's keep going because there's more to talk about. So I want to talk about those lows and then we'll go back because this coming section is really freaking cool. Whoopsie. We'll have to mute that out. Oftentimes when we're learning low metal vocals, or really any metal vocal, but low metal vocals specifically, we struggle with the amount of air that we use. And so we have these super heavily breathy lows that we run out of air in like 3 seconds. In turn, when we learn to compress those vocals, we get something that sounds great and is easy to support, but loses a little, I will say that it can lose a little bit of the body that comes from the airflow. What we hear in this section, what we hear here is an allowance of a little bit more air, right? So when he's hitting this, let me, well, that's coming up here. But when he's doing these lows, instead of that hyper compressed sound, he allows a little bit of air through, and it creates this very thick sort of, grunty sound. Dog barky, right? We've all heard the dog bark exercise for getting false chords down. Very much the same here. So it's a very controlled breathiness that gives the scream a good amount of body. And he does it well, and I like it. Let's go back a little bit, and then this next session is pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff coming up. Like, it's never a good time to stop it because it's so chunky. The song is so chunky, right? A lot of people talk about Tallah like pioneering the new age of new metal, and I see it, but I think that they're doing a lot more. I think that they're doing more of their own thing. So, anyways, if you think they're pioneering the new age of new metal, tell me so in the comments. I think that they're a little bit broader than that myself, but one thing that we really like here is we had just let me breathe, let me see, right? I don't know the lyrics, I don't remember them, but just let me breathe, I'm a sweet, I'm a sweet, right? One thing that's really important is that we understand the difference in mechanism for how we're creating these sounds. We're kind of doing something very acrobatic here. We are starting with our cleans, like our true chords in our voice, right there. Just let me, and then we're leaning on our false chords. So while these doohickeys, and this is not the perfect diagram, okay, just so bear with me. But while these true chords are engaged, our false chords are kind of open, and then we switch, and we're going to get more engagement from the false chords on top. Just let me, right? That's really important. So understanding the mechanism and understanding how the two differ can be very difficult for a lot of people, but once you get it, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. And then of course he threw in a tasteful, like tunnely zombie high, right? Something like that. Just for spice, just for pizzazz, which was really cool. Let's hear that again, and I'm gonna let it run for a while.
Just let me prove that it was too loving. Yes, because it was already so loving. Just leave it part of the problem. Just let me prove it was too loving. Just let me prove it was too loving. Just let me prove it was too loving. Just let me prove.
Some raspy belted yells there. Very cool. Very cool. So right there, for a lot of people who hear terms like, like vocal color or timbre or things like that, this is kind of a good example. So a lot of his singing so far is, oh, right here, and now he's bringing it down. He's warming the voice by bringing it lower, right? So a lot of the way that we do that is we switch the resonance. We pull it back a little bit. Now we don't have to plummet our larynx down. I just called it a larynx. Good golly, I'm fired. We don't have to plummet our larynx down. That's not entirely necessary. In fact, it's not necessary at all. A lot of what we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening the space in the back, right? Bringing up that soft palate a little bit, dropping the tongue, kind of like a yawn, right? Opening everything up in the back. Out of the pain to help you out. Yeah. So whatever the lyrics are, let's let them keep going.
Here's my crutch, I'm a need of the system. I'm marginally obsessed with the way I present myself. I overreact cause that's how I roll. You can see I am a hysterical now. I'm all again, it's not you. My agenda is to bust me up. She requested my submission and we all know now this one is. Got one foot in the door to entertain me. Lest I'm enslaved to the gate of the pain. Everyone is the same. Overconfidence. Overconfidence. Overconfidence.
That was sick. That was a good little, he just do a pig squeal and say suey? What you say to call pigs? Come on. Pun appreciated. Yeah, he really cranks it up there. He really gets that higher pitch. He lets those higher frequencies out very well. He connects those impeccably. Oh, I always do that. I always do that. So fantastic, fantastic. I think the thing that I look forward to when I listen to Tallah or when I hear Justin doing vocal covers is his control. His control's impeccable. The way he turns on and off distortion, the way he does it pretty effortlessly. Again, we see a lot of push, a lot of strain in the neck and the face. I didn't hear a loss of any vocal quality near the end of the song. But it's something that I would just keep in mind. Something I would keep in mind, right? But I mean, A plus performance. He's exceptionally well. He's doing a great job. Again, do you think that they're bringing back the new age of new metal? I'm not so sure. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. I wasn't a big new metal day back in the I wasn't a big new metal guy back in the day when it was its main thing. But again, I think next week we're going to get back to our roots. We've been exploring a lot on the channel. We've been doing a bunch of different genres, but let's get back to some deathcore or to some death metal next video. How about that? Let's get deep. Let's get in the pit of vocals. All right, I'm rambling and I'm talking. It's been a very long day, so I'm going to leave it there. Again, if you enjoyed the video, if you found it informative, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Patreon. We have a lot of fun over there. Come play World of Warcraft with us. Come play Categories. Come play Galactic Battlegrounds or Rise of Nations. I don't know. Show us your Jinn collection. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. But as always,